For someone who's new, who wants to get into Microsoft research and part of their bug bounty, I definitely recommend going through the MSRC website, the bug bounty, really understand the items in scope, as you want to make sure your research will get paid correctly. Really understand the different products, see what makes sense for you to do your research. Make sure you have all the required resources, you set up your environment correctly, make sure everything aligns before you do the research, and also try to engage with other security researchers that have focused in the same areas that you're interested in. And then, just get into it, start hacking.
So once your submission has come through, so we've had a few teams that have looked at it by that point. We've had our first line of defense, we've had our case management team, our vulnerability and mitigations team, we've had our product engineers take a look at it. So by the time that it comes to me and my team, it's already been vetted by quite a few folks within the MSRC and broader Microsoft as well. And we ingest the security assessments, the severity, all of the notes, and we take a look at that, and we look to see if it aligns with our published scope. And that can be a little bit challenging from time to time. Sometimes it's very direct. Like, for example, in Dynamics or Power Platform, we see that you are exploiting a vulnerability that is within your own test tenant, and it's on a specific feature, and we know exactly the root cause for that, and it's very clearly able to map back to one of our scope items. Then there are other cases, for example, maybe an identity issue where we aren't quite sure at the time of bounty review, is that an identity issue? Is that actually an Azure issue? And we have to dive into a little bit further. And that's when we might reach out. We might take a few more days in terms of the bounty assessment process. We take a look at the vulnerability that you submitted to ensure that we are awarding you correctly. Because again, that is going to be an incentive to direct behavior and to direct your future security research and your future investment, essentially. A lot of care and consideration goes into each of these awards, and if you ever have any feedback, we are also open to receiving that feedback because it is important to us that we foster a strong relationship with the researcher community. So the best way to communicate with the MSRC and also with the bounty team specifically is to always just approach with curiosity, and we'll do the same. So if you feel that your vulnerability or submission has not been properly understood or has not been reviewed for bounty correctly, always just reach out to bounty at Microsoft or on the case thread as well and give us that feedback. We are always monitoring that inbox. We're always taking a look at your responses. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we want to incentivize your research because you are directly helping us secure our customers. So the bounty scope is set specifically to incentivize certain behaviors. And so when we bounty you, we send a signal back that that is a specific type of behavior that we want to see. So if it's bounty eligible, we'll bounty you. If it's bounty eligible and there was perhaps a misunderstanding or a severity correction, we also still want to award you. And the best way to do that is just reach out, calm, polite manner, and we will work with you to ensure that you are heard and that all of your questions are addressed. One of the other really great things about the bounty program is that we are able to evolve it on a consistent basis. And the feedback from our researchers does help us to do that as well. While we generally ask that researchers stay within scope, specifically for CVD and for Safe Harbor, we do realize that there is some research that you might stumble upon a vulnerability that is outside of bounty scope and not eligible for award.
So our bounty terms are specifically designed to try to capture the most impactful research that we can. Obviously, it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be exactly one-to-one with what we think is the most impactful research, but we've tried to write our bounty terms such that it aligns as best as we can with what we think are the most impactful parts of research, trying to align with both of the security impact and making sure that that aligns with the bounty award that you're getting. So we really do take into account security impact, and we try to award the most impactful submissions as best we can.
For me to make sure that my submissions are in scope for bounty, I make sure I clearly read the scope details that are published on the Microsoft website, MSRC, and I make sure I really understand them. And if there's any gaps or something that's not clear, I also just reach out to them and clarify. So this makes sure, because maybe I'm going to spend the next 3 months, will this land to bounty if I do find something? So yeah, I take the time to do that, to understand that. Not always I go for bounty though. Maybe my motivation is more to get onto the leaderboards, maybe to cover surface that other researchers aren't currently looking at, maybe from more of a learning experience, maybe from a self-challenge, maybe just to validate some of my skills before I go for actual bounty targets. So these are some of the things I consider. New starters, like I don't recommend getting too fixated on will I get bounty. Like just get good, just get understanding, just understand like the process, like submit a bug, see how it goes, see how it's accepted, maybe get better at reporting, and then focus on more bounty targets. So if I found a really good bug that has impacts and the bounty team says it's not eligible, I always just double check on their website. Like, are they correct or am I correct? Is there something I missed? Maybe my assumption was wrong. Maybe it changed over time. So I always go back to the website. I double check everything. I see their like edits as well. They have a timeline there, so that can be helpful. Maybe it got de-scoped or something like this. So double check with that. Maybe I'll give more examples on how this vulnerability has impact, how it can be abused or used. Maybe that will be enough to get over the line. So like I just ask myself like, why are they disagreeing with my assumptions? And maybe I just need to talk to them more or rephrase it different or double check the scope. It's just about communication really and clarifying why they're disagreeing with your assumptions.